than our local cable subscribers.
Good evening. This is the Property Committee meeting for May 18, 2026 at 6 p.m. We have Councilor Keith, Jamrog McQuaid, and myself, JP Kwasinski, here along with
Planning Director Allison Mainwell.
Michael Owens, Procurement Officer.
Procurement Officer. We have one to admit it all. We have minutes from our last meeting, March 23rd, 2026, which were kindly written up and sent by Councilor Jamrog McQuaid. Thank you. If everybody's had a chance to read them, we'd be happy to entertain a motion.
So move. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of March 23rd. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Public speak. I'm going to call public speak just because I think that was inadvertently not available. So anyone here present who would like to speak, you have up to 3 minutes. And you would raise your hand if you're online. I don't see anyone here present in the audience. Anyone online? Seeing none. I would then move on from public speak.
Last call, public speak.
Last call. We get one more shot at public speak. If you'll listen tonight,
Maybe.
probably a good move. I don't know. I think we have lots of good things to learn. We have staff with us, and they're prepared to talk about the new business at hand, the authorization for Emerald Place preliminary eminent domain proceedings, and authorization for Parsons and Ferry Street preliminary eminent domain proceedings. And we also have a review of where we stand with regard to the town lodging on the agenda. So I would leave it to the staff if someone has to leave early. If you do, which one you'd like to bring up first?
I mean, I think the authorization should be brief, but I
defer to councils. Yeah,
Sure.
I'm in that
That's great.
rush.
okay. So
I would say typically my understanding of the process of eminent domain requires city council action at the full council level as a final step. This is a preliminary step where we would then authorize the mayor to negotiate and to do what he needs to do in the process, is my understanding. Please correct me if I have an impression that is mistaken.
nope, that's absolutely correct. So our city solicitor has advised that prior to us starting the appraisal process and some of the negotiations, like you mentioned, that we get the authorization of the full council to proceed with that work. Once that's completed and we've received just compensation reports and communicated with property owners about the just compensation, we would bring it back to the city council for their review and ultimately request that the council order the takings, which is sort of like the final official step of executing the takings process. Once that order is approved, voted on, payments will go out to the property owners, and the deed with the takings will be at the registry of deeds. So there's a few steps in the process. We're very early in that process. We're talking specifically about the takings along Ferry Street and Parsons Street related to intersection improvements there to improve visibility for vehicles that are turning off of Parsons Street onto Ferry Street. I think as most of us know, that's a very dangerous intersection. So we would,
I'm imagining the left,
yeah, the left hand is,
turn
the left hand is certainly the
particularly.
worst. Yeah, that's the most challenging, but really for anybody turning, even if they're turning right, it is a bit, it's hard to see oncoming traffic until you're pretty far out in the intersection. So this will, improve that considerably. But to do that, we do have to, there's an existing retaining wall that we have to move back, to create those sightlines that are lacking currently, and that does require taking people's property. It would be an easement. It's not a fee taking, so it won't become part of the right of the city's right of way boundary. It will still be part of their property, just with the permanent easement over it. And there's also some temporary easements associated with construction, which would end at the end of construction.
Okay, so this preliminary easement request from the council would be to have the mayor move forward, okay? We're not talking on Ferry and Parsons of any permanent takings as far as any land, as you say, being in fee, going to the city. That would remain the property of the current owners, so they would have control over that land to some extent, with reduced control in that there would be an easement. The easement would be for what purpose?
So the retaining wall that exists now will be moved back, and a sidewalk will be constructed, which will be
Great,
available
great.
for use for the public, although on their property technically. We've already conferred with the Department of Public Works, and there's going to be a fence on the back of the retaining wall like there is now, so it would be difficult for the properties to maintain the sidewalk. So the Public Works Department has already sort of planned that the city will handle snow removal for property owners, which is not always the case when we create new sidewalks. So,
Yeah,
and we have been in communication with these property owners. I felt it was important that they heard directly from someone before it was announced to the public. So they're all aware of this.
when you're saying communication, was that communication?
I sent letters out to let them know we were going to be asking for this, and sent the plans so they could see them and ask questions.
No returns on those letters?
I heard from a few people.
I mean, in terms of return to sender,
Um,
they were all deliverable?
There were a couple that were, so at first I did certified mail, with signature, and a couple of those came back. So I sent them not return or not certified, and I heard from the properties that didn't sign, that they had gotten them. So yes, it seems like everybody got them.
Yeah, my concern here, of course, is that everybody, I mean, you're making every effort to make sure and go beyond to make sure people are informed, that they're aware of
Yeah.
the whole process. This doesn't so my understanding of what you're saying, this would take away none of their rights regarding square footage rights for the property. Is that?
It won't change the property boundaries. It does involve property rights to the extent that they will have a sidewalk on their property that is publicly available
Publicly
for
available
use.
and publicly maintained, yes, but in terms of they're saying, okay, if someday they could turn, let's say, for example, somebody had a single family and wanted to turn it into a two-family, and otherwise qualified, but needed the footage from the 700 feet in the front that was gonna be part of the easement or whatever, that wouldn't affect their rights.
Yep, so their lot area won't be reduced. Even if it was, there are exceptions when eminent domain takings are at play that they would be grandfathered, so to speak, but that's not even at play here because we're not taking the fee, as you mentioned.
Just being extra cautious as to people's property rights, individual owners.
Yep, that's
Are
fair.
there any other questions from the councilors?
Just to make sure I understand, the area where the easement is, it's on the area facing Ferry Street, right? Like the retaining walls on Ferry Street.
Yeah, there are a couple properties just right behind them on Parsons Street where the
Okay.
sidewalk will kind of wrap around.
Right.
And where the hill will be, the grade will be changed a bit. to improve the visibility, but yes, primarily it is on Ferry Street. I'm gonna share my screen so I can
Thank you.
put the plans on the screen. So we're looking at Ferry Street here, Emerald. So it goes between Emerald Place and Carson Street. So there are this one on the corner has an Emerald Place address, but their frontage is that's affected is primarily on Ferry Street. And then if you go down to the other end here, you'll see there's a temporary easement for this lot on Carson Street, which actually has an Oakdale Place address. And then also over here on the corner of Ferry and Parsons.
Okay. But so, yeah, I just think for most of this, the sidewalk would be basically more or less where the retaining wall currently is. So this is
Yeah.
this isn't a part of their parcel that is like being heavily used by families or anything right now, like.
You know, I don't want to comment on the impacts without the appraisers doing their thing.
Fair
That's
enough.
really, that's for them. And I don't know how people are using their property exactly. I know there will be some impacts to like shrubbery and things that will have to be accounted for,
Sure.
but by and large, yeah, it is, I mean, it's the area that's up by Ferry Street, and these folks, their front door is on kind of like it's like an alleyway. On the other side, they don't access their properties from Ferry Street, if
Right.
if that makes sense.
Yes, okay, that makes sense.
And none of the structures are within,
No, there's no structural impacts.
I mean, in terms of, you know, the actual buildings are toward the opposite end of the parcel.
That's right, yes.
So this is at the very edge of the parcel. Okay.
So there's a draft motion that was prepared by the city solicitor. So being asked to make at their meeting.
I think it would be appropriate to have that be on at this meeting. Happy to read it. I'd be happy to have any one of us read it and to, if we're ready to do that, if there are no further questions.
I'll just say one thing,
Sure.
just at least for Councilor Jim White's benefit, because I'm sure you would echo this experience, like in the time I've been on the council, this particular section of street has been an ongoing, regular public safety concern for a long time around just on traffic safety, pedestrian safety, just kind of everything about it. So I think that this is something that people have been asking us to do something about for at least 8 years, because that's how long I've been here, probably longer. And I think that this is a reasonable way to approach it. So I'm all for it.
If I may, I should also clarify, this is being funded by a $2.4 million Housing Works grant that the city has already received.
Just to echo your comments and to say, yes, it's been on the radar for quite some time, and for a variety of reasons, particularly as the Ferry Street project got underway, the walkway on that side of the street became deep. Bicycles began to travel more and more up the road, so the looking to that area better improve walkability to the neighborhoods. The $2.4 million does help, and it enables us to be able to do something about it. So that being said,
If I can just add for context, I grew up on Ferry Street, so I
yay.
100% understand the need for this. I learned to drive taking left turns off of Parson Street onto Ferry Street, so 100% see the need for both of these. So yeah, I guess I would have a question about process. So
Sure.
this would be read as a motion at the next city council meeting on Wednesday,
It would
or
be read here. I would recommend we read it here and then we move it to the council with the recommendation that we recommend the approval, and then leave it to the council.
Okay, and this isn't something that would require a public hearing or anything like that?
The process of taking require, I believe, public
Yeah, I'd have to look back at my
When we go
list of
to-
all the steps, but this will come back before the council for a more formal process to outline
And that one
the
would require public hearing.
compensation and yeah.
I'm not aware that this.
No, this-
Requires a public hearing. We felt that people were not aware of this, they were getting the message, I think the planning department. Everybody confirmed that everybody's been reached. So I like to hear side of caution, and I appreciate the question very much. But I believe formal process.
I just asked because this is a new thing for me, so.
Sure. Anyone want to take a crack at it?
Sure. I would make a motion to recommend the following motion to I would recommend that we, sorry, I just got a little scrambled there. So I would make a motion to recommend the following motion to the full council, I guess. The City of Easthampton, city desires to expand and reconstruct all or portions of Ferry and Parsons Streets shown on the plan of land entitled Layout Plans Showing Location of Easements for the purposes of reconstructing Parsons Street and Ferry Street for the City of Easthampton, dated April 23rd, 2026 by VHB Incorporated and stamped by Christopher C. Danforth, PLS, plan. It is necessary for the city to acquire by eminent domain taking permanent and temporary easements over certain parcels of land as shown on the plan, and Chapter 40, Section 14, Chapter 79, Section 1, and Chapter at Sec and Chapter 82, Section 24 of the Massachusetts General Laws and other applicable statutes, and of any and every power and authority to it granted or implied, and the charter for the city allow the city to acquire easements over real property by eminent domain for municipal purposes. I move that the city council for the city of Easthampton, Massachusetts vote to authorize the mayor of the city as necessary to enter into all agreements and execute any and all instruments necessary to complete the preliminary work necessary to effectuate an order of taking.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
So there's a second one
Yeah,
too.
there is another one, so don't go away for the riveting story. Actually, it is pretty riveting. A lot of work has gone in thus far, and there's more to go. We're excited about it.
So in a similar area, but a separate project, the slope that leads down from Emerald Place to Lower Mill Pond has been eroding and causing some issues with the concrete or the pavement rather in Emerald Place and just the general stability of the roadway. So the city has applied for a grant to do some slope stabilization work, which includes soil nailing,
Soil what?
soil nailing. Don't ask me to explain
Oh, I
details
was gonna
of that,
definitely
but
ask you because that's the
um,
term. I was
yeah, it's
familiar
not,
with.
it's a new one for me too.
Soil nailing.
Basically, it's working on the actual slope, driving some stabilizing nails into, I'm sure that might be wrong, but something to
Feels
that
sorry for the
effect.
slope.
Stabilizing the slope directly while also replacing an outfall, a stormwater outfall, which is causing a lot of the erosion.
Ah,
So managing stormwater so the erosion doesn't just continue to happen even after we do the stabilization work. That's really the critical part of this. And that outfall and the slope are on property owned by the mills across the way on Ferry Street.
As we look at the map in front of us, may I? It's a different map, right?
So it's on a different plan. In the packet, there's
You wanna look at the other packet that you have. This is for the other one. Oh, wait, no.
That's the right.
Yours looks
there's
different.
more than
Oh,
one
I
sheet.
see, I see.
Oh,
I see,
there's
I
more
see.
than one sheet. Everything is wrong sheet. Which sheet should we look at? Because I'm looking at the one that, I wonder where the outfall is.
Sure. So if you look at sheet SB1, there's
Has to be one.
It's the second one in your packet. So the
Second
one,
page in fact.
the one before that one.
yeah, so it's the first plan sheet, second page in the packet. There's some diagonal striping, and then there's hatched area within that. It
Yep.
looks a little bit darker. That's where the outfall, one of the outfalls is located. So there's an easement for the outfall specifically, and then an easement for the work along the slope. Going to the next page, you can see it's a catching the tail end of what we were just looking at, and then there's another hatched area with another outfall.
SB2.
So it's easement area, it's drainage easement area 3, so easement area DE3, and that's on page SV2.
This one is the right thing.
Yep. And then on SV3, there's a third outfall with another drainage easement. But sorry to jump around, but if we go back to that SV1, there's also a small easement area on the property that's located on the corner of Glen Cove Place and Emerald Place. Right now, there is a manhole there, a stormwater manhole that is the city's, but it's partially on private property. So we would need an easement for that anyways, but these plans actually propose to put a stormwater catch basin there surrounded by a rain garden to infiltrate some stormwater. And it all ties back into a larger plan for stormwater management and utility upgrades in the wider neighborhood. This is really step one, because without the slope being stabilized, it jeopardizes all the underground infrastructure that leads to it. So there are actually only 2 property owners that are affected by this. As I previously mentioned, the mills on Ferry Street, the owner of that, it's One Industrial Lofts, and then the owner of 10 to 12 Glen Cove Place. Once again, we've already spoken with the property owners about this in hopes of gaining their support for the grant application, which we did get. And so yeah, it's just, now we're just moving along with the process and getting things in place. Fingers crossed that we get the grant. Otherwise, this work won't.
So we have not got the grant for this one. We're doing the work in preparation for
Yeah, so the state,
perhaps getting the grant.
yeah, the state would like, before we're able to execute a contract with the state for the grant funds, we would need these easements in place. So we're trying to be proactive about having the sort of paperwork together and ready in the event that we are awarded the grant. I think ideally the state would have liked to see these easements before we submitted the grant application, but it's, challenging to ask people to work with us when we don't even have the money yet. So.
Right. In terms of the process, how far along are we? I'll back up just a tad. For these 2 projects, when would you anticipate the earliest possible starting?
So Ferry Street and Parsons Street, once we have these easements secured, we'll be able to bid the project. So it could, in theory, start before the end of the year. It will likely start in the spring, but that's really it's dependent on how long the appraisals and everything take to come together. For this project on Emerald Place, we won't hear about the grant until September or October. And then again, same thing, we'll already have these easements, so we'll just need to bid the project. And again, that earliest would be next spring.
Mhm.
So we're looking, a little ways out. Parsons and Ferry has a much better chance of starting sooner, but
Any questions about this?
No, so this, okay, yeah, no, this one makes sense to me.
I have a couple small questions, but on the diagram here, it looks like is there gonna be a new culvert going in under Emerald Place there? Or,
it's a good question. I'm trying to remember if yes, the pipe will be replaced. I'm trying to remember if it's going to be replaced as part of this project, but I believe that it is because we're installing that new catch basin on the 10-12 Glen Cove. So I think at the same time that they do that, they'll replace the pipe that goes under to the outfall. There's a couple of there's some moving parts here because like I mentioned, it's part of a larger plan. So how it's sequenced and phased as far as all of the improvements is why I'm questioning it. I know ultimately it will be replaced. I'm second guessing whether that under the road pipe will be replaced as part of this phase. But I think it will be.
and one other thing was just around the timing. Do you anticipate all of this happening at the same time? And like, is there anticipation of disruption on that neighborhood?
Yeah, so part of the MVP is, so we submitted for a municipal vulnerability preparedness grant, MVP. Part of that grant requirement is community engagement with the neighborhood, very thorough. We have funds in the grant to actually pay a community liaison to get information out to the neighborhood. So there will be impacts, and we will do as much as we possibly can to communicate those ahead of time and to educate the neighborhood about what's going on, why it's happening, and what they can expect moving forward. So I don't know if it will all happen at once. I doubt it. I know we want to do sort of like a community event for the rain garden planting. That would probably happen later, whereas the soil nailing piece of it is sort of independent of that. So it depends on how the contractors become. But it should happen in relatively close sequence.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't have any further questions. If there are none, I'm going to stand the motion.
Oh, sure, I can read this one.
We'll let
All right.
Thompson, you don't need to.
I would move to recommend to the council for approval the following motion. The city of Easthampton, Massachusetts, city desires to undertake slope stabilization and stormwater management improvements in and adjacent to portions of Emerald Place and Glen Cove Place shown on the plan of land entitled Easement Plan Prepared for City of Easthampton, Emerald Place, Easthampton, Massachusetts, dated March 2nd, 2026 by Guntlow and Associates Incorporated and stamped by Frederick J. Haley, PLS, the plan. It is necessary for the city to acquire by eminent domain, taking permanent and temporary easements over certain parcels of land as shown on the plan, and Chapter 40, Section 14, Chapter 79, Section 1, et sec, and Chapter 82, Section 24 of the Massachusetts General Laws and other applicable statutes, and of any and every power and authority to it, granted or implied, and the charter for the city, allow the city to acquire easements over real property by eminent domain for municipal purposes. I move that the city council for the city of Easthampton, Massachusetts, vote to authorize the mayor of the city as necessary to take into all agreements and execute any and all instruments necessary to complete the preliminary work necessary to effectuate an order of taking.
Second. Motion and a second regarding the slope stabilization work for Emerald Place. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion passed. It's great, thank you.
If I may, do you anticipate this being acted upon on Wednesday?
This I would bring to the council on Wednesday. If the council chooses to act.
Yeah, I just want to be
I can't imagine that they wouldn't.
Okay.
Seeing we've had so much action to the project tonight. Looks pretty straightforward to get the year started.
Yes. So should we make sure to get these plans to an amended council agenda?
We could get them onto the agenda. It was in the packet for the last agenda.
Okay.
the information?
It's all available on the project websites as well. on the
Website,
city.
but yeah, I'll be sure. to share it. Thank you. Moving on to the town lodging house. Michael Owens, Chairman, Officer.
Councilors, good evening. Good to see you all. Good to see the members of the public. Hello. Hope everyone's well. I was at the last council meeting. At the meeting, the full city council voted in the affirmative for the resolution presented by the property committee. And as a result of that and our conversations that evening, I'm here to talk to you tonight about a proposed schedule for the RFP release for the lodging house. I think you have this in front of you. I can run through it briefly if you like.
If you wouldn't mind, since it's the first time it's been presented to us, and it gives us a chance perhaps to digest it.
Yeah, I would like you to think about the dates and then think about your schedules for July and August. We can talk about that as we go through this. So the law requires a public advertisement for the lodging house RFP because there is more than 2,500 square feet of property being included in this disposition. An advertisement has to be published in the Central Register at least 30 days before opening RFPs. I post in the Central Register on Wednesdays for an appearance the following Wednesday. I've proposed public advertisements on June 10th and June 17th. The 10th would be the Central Register ad, and the 10th and the 17th would be the two local newspaper ads that need to happen 2 consecutive weeks prior to the opening of the RFP. Proposals would be available on June 10th. That would be the RFP document containing all information and details about the submission requirements. Folks could obtain that by emailing myself. A pre-proposal conference would be scheduled. This would be mandatory. Proposers would have to be here in the city on June 24th at 10 a.m. for a mandatory pre-proposal conference and tour of the property at 75 Oliver Street. Deadline for written questions would be July 2nd, 2026. That would be 10 days prior to the RFP due date. Official answers for RFP Q&As or an addenda to be issued. The city may issue that up to 7 days prior to the due date of the responses. We issue an addenda to make any changes or additions to the RFP. And in this case, we would be issuing an addenda to answer any of the written questions that were submitted by proposals. The city also has the option of simply not answering a question if we don't have the answer to it. That's always an option for us, all depending on the question that's being asked and whether we have that information readily available. So where and when proposals would be due, they would be due on July 13th at 10 a.m. It's important to know that Chapter 30B affords no confidentiality in real estate proposals. Once those proposals are opened by myself on July 13th, they become public documents. An anticipated award, 90 days, I would suggest we change that to 120. And again, that's based on your availability in the month of July and August. A contract, so anticipated award would be within 120 days of the submission date. And then a contract executed, which would essentially mean a land disposition and development agreement and a purchase and sale agreement executed with the successful proposer within 60 days of the anticipated award. That's the schedule in a nutshell, councilors. I think it is ambitious, but I think it's achievable. And I would defer to you in terms of your schedules, your availability, in late July and August, and possibly into September. I know a lot of people take time off in August. So, and I just will add that the public meetings could be, they're at your preference, but they could happen at your regular property committee meetings, or you you're certainly free to schedule special meetings to discuss your evaluation of the RFPs.
In terms of the process, once RFPs have come back, they've been opened, how long before you actually?
The first step in opening the RFPs is the procurement officer. I'm going to look through those and make sure they meet all the minimum criteria. Once that is done, they'll be hard copies be made, evaluation sheets be prepared, and they'll be distributed to councilors, members of the property committee.
In the past, how long has it taken to go through the various procurement process, the RFP process? Can you give us some idea?
The RFP process, I mean,
I mean, not the
yeah,
actual
just get really
getting, but once the bids are open, now we're gonna get a group together. I think there were 12 people that got together for the 3 schools.
Sure.
And I, refresh my memory, I thought that I wasn't included as part of that, but I would have thought that was within a month or so, 6 weeks.
The school review committee took quite some time. That was a fairly complex RFP, and we were dealing with 3 school
3
buildings.
schools, right.
I think we had, don't hold me to this, but I think we had 6 or 8 proposals to go through.
Okay.
So it's hard to determine that. If we get 6 proposals for the lodging house, your time to review those proposals will obviously be longer.
Right.
But the RFP itself is fairly straightforward. It's only dealing with one site that the city intends to keep together and not separate. I think the 120-day review is probably doable. Note that when we have the anticipated award, we really need to stick to that schedule. So that's why I'm suggesting the 120 days. That gives you folks plenty of time to think about your schedules, think about how often you want to meet to evaluate the proposals and fill out your scoring sheets. And then, these are all public meetings where you may afford comments to the public through public speak or another mechanism. Yeah, anticipated award, I'd suggest we change that to do within 120 days of the due date of the proposals. That would be within 4 months of July 13th. If my math is right, I'm not strong in my math skills.
Of July 13th, so August, September, October, November. I count and use my fingers.
Yes.
November.
Right, but I defer to the councilors here on the
Right.
property committee. It's your RFP, it's not mine.
We certainly would like to be as expeditious as possible and yet reflective in the process. Give ourselves a chance to do the job. So, Councilor Peak.
I think that I don't see any harm in changing it to 120. I feel somewhat optimistic that we could handle it in 90, but I guess something could always come up and complicate it. And then we say, I guess I'm glad that we built in that extra 30 days. So,
There's no harm in going sooner.
right, we could
Correct.
do it the next day if
Correct.
if there's one proposal.
Yeah,
but like,
if you had the time, you could do it in 45 days, you could do it in 25 days.
okay. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
It's just within a set amount of time, you'd make your decision
And then we would make the recommendation to the mayor.
to the mayor, and then the mayor would make that presentation to the city council, I believe. City council has to vote ultimately on disposition of city property, just like the schools.
Dr. Jamrock McQuaid, any questions? All right. I'm excited. I'm glad that we have this work. It looks like a good plan. I don't think it requires any further action formalized by us. In terms of meeting schedules, now that we have an idea, we can think about it if you'd like, and we can discuss that at our next meeting.
Yeah.
And even Wednesday night, if you had some thoughts about it, or we could talk.
It's hard for me to know today what my life's gonna look like after, really like,
After budget season.
after budget season. I'll probably have like a 1 week, just like hibernation, rolling panic attack type thing, you know, once that's over.
Yeah, I'll be in the corner of the room,
Yeah,
fetal position.
Yeah.
Murmuring and crying.
yeah, I'm trying to stop that down till June 30th, but after that, yeah, but by July 13th, I should be recovered from that. So, I think, if, like, yeah, I mean, I have some plans to maybe take a quick vacation at the end of August, but nothing that I don't think we can work around here, so.
Again, we will be away intermittently in August, so. And we're not sure how much work we're gonna be able to get done in August, but if we had to find the time, we would.
Yeah, I don't think it would be impossible to find like one day that works.
One day that works, we could at least get one.
Yeah.
All right,
I mean, ultimately, based on the schedule, the RFP will be on the street 30 days, 33 days. I apologize, 33 days. So
And do you think that that's long enough?
I do think it's long enough. It's not a very complicated RFP.
Mhm.
It's pretty clear. It just deals with this one site. I think if people have a serious interest in the goals and objectives that the city is trying to reach for this property, they'll be ready.
Okay, I think I agree. I just, I wanna make sure that,
I mean, I will be communicating with the property committee as this process goes forward. If we have overwhelming response, if the questions require an extension of time, that'll be discussed with the committee, and that can be done through an addendum if it needs to be.
Okay.
That's great.
Obviously stay in close communication with you folks
thank you.
as we get to these milestones.
for me,
Anything else? That being said, I would entertain a motion to adjourn if we're done.
do we need to sign off on this or is it just?
I don't think there's anything that you
Okay.
can go and do your job. You met with us.
Yes,
We're happy to do something formal, but
not required.
We've talked
I think the
about it.
conversation is
we're in agreement.
Okay.
very good. Thank you, councilors. Appreciate your time
Thank
today.
you.
I would make a
Thank
motion
you for
to
your
adjourn.
work.
So, or second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
And our local cable subscribers.